The stars stretched endlessly above the Terran research vessel Aurora, sparkling like scattered diamonds across black velvet. Commander Rian stood at the observation deck, arms folded, watching the distant glow of an uncharted planet. It was a small blue world, covered with forests and seas, untouched by any known species. Most civilizations would have ignored it, but humans had an instinct to explore, to understand, and sometimes to conquer the unknown without fear. "Commander, sensors detect signs of life on the surface," said Lieutenant Mara, the ship's lead scientist. Her voice carried a mixture of curiosity and excitement. Humans always had this unshakable need to observe and understand, even when danger was possible. "Prepare the landing team," Ryan said. His voice was calm, but there was a spark in his eyes. "We go as observers, not invaders. But stay alert." The shuttle descended slowly through the thick atmosphere, cutting through clouds that glowed gold in the planet's sunlight. The air smelled clean even through the shuttle's filters. Vast forests stretched across rolling hills, and massive rivers glimmered like silver threads. From orbit it looked peaceful, but peace could be deceptive. Humans had learned that the galaxy often hid dangers behind beautiful surfaces. The landing team was small, just 4 people. Rian, Lieutenant Mara, Engineer Terran, and Scout Elin. They stepped onto the planet's surface, boots sinking slightly into soft moss. The air was breathable and sweet, like early spring on old Earth. Elin, with her sharp eyes, scanned the horizon while Terran began analyzing soil and plant samples. "Nothing unusual yet," Mara said, her hand hovering over a scanner. "Life forms are simple, but there are signs of a predator in the area. Something large and intelligent." Ryan nodded. "Keep moving slowly. Observe. Do not engage unless we have to. Remember, humans survive because we think faster and adapt quicker." As they walked deeper into the forest, shadows moved with strange purpose between the trees. The creatures were fast, unlike any recorded species. They had sharp limbs and reflective eyes that seemed to follow the humans. The team stopped, holding their ground, hearts steady but senses alert. Ryan whispered, "Stay calm. Don't panic. Let it come to us if it chooses." The first attack came without warning. A massive predator, taller than any human and faster than it should have been, leaped from the trees. It moved with precision, aiming straight for Elin, who was nearest. But humans had a different instinct from most species. Elin ducked and rolled, barely touching the soft moss before she fired a net launcher. The predator twisted in midair, avoiding capture, but its momentum carried it forward. The team retreated a few steps but never lost composure. Mara shouted, "It's testing us!" "It's not attacking blindly." Humans had a gift other species often lacked. They could observe, analyze, and react in real time. Where most would flee in fear, humans adapted. Ryan held his pulse steady, counting the predator's movements, its speed and patterns. "It's strong, yes, but predictable in its hunting. That is where we survive," he muttered to himself. The predator circled, growling low, but it did not strike again immediately. Humans knew that fear often caused mistakes. The team spread out, creating space between them. Terran threw a light-emitting device to distract it, while Ryan and Elin moved from the sides, forcing it into a position where it could not approach without risking itself. The creature snarled but stopped. Its large eyes reflected surprise, as if it had not expected such coordinated action. Humans did not just act, they thought, they predicted, and they adapted instinctively. That was their true strength. After what felt like hours but was only minutes, the predator retreated into the forest, leaving the humans standing. They were unharmed but exhilarated. "That was close," Elin said, her voice calm but tinged with adrenaline. Humans did not panic. They felt the fear but controlled it. Fear was not a weakness, it was a signal to think faster. Mara looked at Rian. "Commander, this predator, it's not ordinary. It hunts with intelligence. If it were any other species, we might not have survived." Ryan nodded. "That is exactly why we must continue observing. Every species has weaknesses. Humans survive because we notice them before others do." The team set up a temporary camp near a small clearing. They collected samples, documented every movement of the predator, and marked trails. Rian sat quietly for a moment, looking at the night sky. The galaxy was full of creatures far stronger and faster than humans, but humans had something else, an instinct that went beyond strength. It was intelligence, adaptability, and the ability to act decisively when others hesitated. Night fell. The forest became alive with sounds, chirps, rustles, and the occasional growl of distant predators. Humans slept lightly, always alert, always ready. Their dreams were filled with patterns and strategies, a mind preparing for the unknown. Suddenly, Mara whispered, "Something approaches." Ryan sat up instantly. From the shadows emerged the predator again, moving cautiously. But this time humans were ready. They did not run. They observed, waited, and adapted. Elin had already set up a net trap with precise timing, and Terran held a stunner. The predator lunged, but humans were faster. The net captured it momentarily, and the stunner slowed it without causing harm. Ryan approached slowly. "It is not our enemy, but it is testing us. And we have passed the test." Mara wrote in her data pad. "The species is strong and intelligent, but humans' instinctive adaptability neutralized its advantage. This is an unprecedented survival response." For the first time, the humans realized something important. The galaxy did not expect them to act this way. Other species either relied on strength, weapons, or numbers. Humans relied on observation, prediction, and instinctive problem-solving. The predator had taught them, but humans had learned faster. By the next morning, the team returned to the shuttle carrying data, samples, and a new understanding. Humans were observers, yes, but predators too. Not in the way of mindless killing, but in the way of survival, strategy, and instinct. Ryan looked out as the planet receded beneath them. "This world is not the first challenge we will face, and it will not be the last. But humans will survive where others fail. Our instinct is our greatest weapon." Back on the Aurora, the Galactic Council's monitors recorded every detail. Unknown to the humans, delegates had been quietly observing their mission from afar. They noted something unusual. Humans did not react with fear like other species. They adapted, they predicted, and they survived. The Council whispered among themselves, a rare unease in their voices. One ambassador muttered, "If this is how humans handle a single predator, imagine them against a fleet, or a war." Their instincts are extraordinary. Meanwhile, humans continued their work as if nothing had happened. Ryan convened a small meeting in the shuttle's lab. "We have observed and survived, but we must study more. The galaxy is full of unknowns. Humans survive not by avoiding danger, but by understanding it. That is how we will continue to grow." Elin nodded, her eyes sharp. "And when something bigger comes, we will be ready." "We always are." Terran, ever practical, added, "It is not just strength or technology. It is how we think, how we act, and how we adapt. That is what makes us humans." Mara smiled slightly. "Then we are truly predators of thought and action. Not for killing, but for survival, for understanding, and for thriving where others might fail." The shuttle lifted off the planet, leaving the forests and rivers behind. Humans looked out at the stars, their minds already planning the next mission, already thinking of the challenges ahead. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but humans had an instinct unlike any other species. They were not the fastest, the strongest, or the most technologically advanced, but they were adaptable, fearless in thought, and relentless in action. And for the first time, the galaxy began to notice. Ryan whispered as he looked at the stars. "We are not just observers. We are hunters of opportunity, and the galaxy has yet to see what we are capable of." The stars stretched endlessly ahead, but humans did not fear them. They were ready. They were observant, they were cunning, and their true predator instinct had quietly begun to awaken. The planet Virelia glowed under twin suns, its golden forest stretching toward distant mountains. The humans had just begun to establish a small colony near a river that glittered in the sunlight. It was a peaceful place, ideal for research and settlement. Humans had chosen it not for its resources alone, but because it offered opportunity. They thrived where others hesitated. Captain Nico oversaw the colony's construction, moving between shelters, laboratories, and observation posts. His calm voice guided workers and soldiers alike. "Keep watch, but do not panic. Everything here is under control. Humans adapt, humans endure. Remember that." Despite their careful preparation, Virelia held unknown dangers. Alien scouts, silent and unseen, had been observing the colony. They reported back to their warlike civilization, a species that had not encountered humans before. They expected an easy victory, assuming the humans were weak and unorganized. They did not understand the true predator instinct awakening in humanity. The first attack came at dawn, when the twin suns barely kissed the horizon. Explosions shook the outer settlement, sending humans running to defensive positions. Alien ships hovered low, deploying small ground units that were armed with energy disruptors and sharp blades. Civilians screamed, but the soldiers, trained in adaptive strategies, quickly moved into formation. "Stay calm," Nico shouted, his voice cutting through panic. "Observe, adapt, act. Humans do not run blindly." Lieutenant Laura, the colony's tactical officer, quickly assessed the enemy. Their attacks were fast but predictable, relying on force rather than strategy. Humans had a different approach. Laura signaled small teams of soldiers and civilians to set traps using the environment. Rivers were dammed to create sudden floods. Nets and barriers were set across narrow paths, and humans moved with quiet precision. The aliens struck with strength, rushing forward in waves. But humans had already calculated their movements. When the first wave approached a bridge, Laura gave a single nod. Terran, stationed nearby, triggered a makeshift mechanism, dropping heavy barriers that cut off the attacker's advance. Some units fell into shallow water, slowed and confused. Humans did not strike without thought. They adapted, predicted, and used their surroundings to their advantage. Amid the chaos, Nico observed a small group of aliens attempting to flank the humans from the forest. He gestured to a team led by Elin the scout. They moved silently through the trees, taking the attackers by surprise. The aliens were fast, but humans were faster in thought and action. Within moments, the flanking attempt failed. The humans had turned the ambush into a trap. Civilians, too, played a role. Laura had assigned them tasks according to their skills. Engineers improvised electric nets. Medics coordinated safe zones, and even children helped relay messages between teams. Humans had a unique ability to organize instinctively under pressure. Where other species would panic, humans acted with coordination that seemed almost instinctive. The aliens adjusted, trying different approaches. They used flying drones to scout, but humans had already hidden behind natural cover, moving only when necessary. They observed patterns, predicted next moves, and responded with efficiency. One human soldier, Avon, used a reflective device to blind the drones temporarily, giving his team time to advance without detection. Every move was calculated, every action designed to survive and outsmart the enemy. Hours passed, though it felt longer. The sun climbed higher, casting sharp shadows over the battlefield. Humans had not only survived the initial attacks, they had turned them to their advantage. Aliens were confused and frustrated, expecting a simple fight, but finding themselves countered at every turn. Laura surveyed the battlefield. "They underestimate us. They think humans rely on strength. They do not see our instinct, the ability to think faster, to move with purpose, to adapt in the moment." Nico moved beside her. "It is not just instinct. It is experience, observation, and courage. Humans survive because we face danger without hesitation. We calculate, we act, and we endure." By late afternoon, the aliens realized their attacks were failing. Their ground units had been neutralized or captured, their drones destroyed, and their communication disrupted by humans who used the environment to interfere. The aliens had strength and numbers, but humans had something stronger: strategy, instinct, and relentless adaptability. The final confrontation occurred near the colony's central river. The aliens attempted a last charge, hoping to overwhelm the humans with brute force. But Nico anticipated this. He had positioned his teams to funnel the attackers into narrow passages, where natural terrain amplified their disadvantage. Laura signaled the team to trigger barriers and traps, and the aliens found themselves trapped between human defenses. The humans did not kill unnecessarily. They incapacitated, captured, and controlled the situation without losing composure. One alien trapped under a net growled in frustration. Nico approached slowly, his calm presence contrasting the chaos around him. "It is over. Humans do not attack blindly. We adapt, we survive, and we protect what is ours." The aliens, confused and defeated, retreated to their ships. Their scouts reported everything to their commanders. They had never faced a species like humans, one that used mind, strategy, and instinct equally with strength. Their own leaders whispered in disbelief. "How can this be? They are not the strongest. They do not have advanced weapons. Yet they prevail. Something in them is different." Back in the colony, humans worked quickly to secure the area. Injuries were treated, defenses reinforced, and data collected. Laura and Nico convened a meeting with the senior team. "We survived because we acted as humans always do," Nico said. "Not because we are stronger, but because we think faster, adapt faster, and never hesitate when survival is needed." Mara, the scientist, added, "It is instinctual, but it is also learned. We observe, analyze, and respond. Other species rely on strength or fear. Humans rely on instinct and intelligence together." The team understood something important that day. Humans were not ordinary. The galaxy expected species to fight or flee according to instinct, but humans could combine thought, prediction, and action in real time. They could survive situations that would destroy others. Their instinct was their greatest weapon, yet it was subtle, almost invisible until tested. Nico looked out at the twin suns setting behind the mountains. The colony was intact. The humans had survived and the aliens had been sent away humiliated and defeated. Yet there was no arrogance in the human hearts. There was only recognition of their strength, their instinct, and their potential. Elin spoke quietly, almost to herself. "They thought they could scare us. They did not understand humans." Terran nodded. "We adapt, we endure, and we outthink. That is how we survive. That is how we always will." As night fell, humans lit fires around the colony, not just for warmth, but as a symbol of endurance. The stars shone brightly, and somewhere among them, other civilizations began to whisper. "Have you seen humans? Their instinct. It is unlike anything we know. They survive where others fail. They think, they adapt, and they endure. Even the strongest cannot predict them." The humans did not hear these whispers. They were focused on recovery, on understanding the alien tactics, and on preparing for the challenges that the galaxy would inevitably bring. Humans did not seek war, but they did not fear it. They did not rely solely on technology, nor only on strength. They relied on instinct, intelligence, and an unyielding will to survive. Nico stood at the edge of the river, looking at the reflection of the twin suns. He smiled slightly. "This is only the beginning. The galaxy will challenge us, but humans have awakened something deeper than skill or technology. We have awakened instinct, and instinct is a predator that adapts to anything, overcomes everything, and survives where others fail." The humans settled for the night, tired but not defeated, knowing that the first test had passed. The aliens would return, other threats would arise, but humans had demonstrated something unique. The combination of courage, intelligence, and instinct. They were observers, yes, but they were hunters too, not of life but of opportunity, survival, and mastery over the unknown. And somewhere far across the stars, the Galactic Council watched silently. Delegates exchanged uneasy glances. If humans were this capable in a small colony, what would happen when they truly understood the galaxy and their own instinctive power? Some admitted quietly that perhaps humanity was not just another species. Perhaps they were the predator the galaxy had never seen coming. The humans had barely finished rebuilding the colony on Veralia when a new message arrived, transmitted from deep space. Its sender was unmistakable, the Galactic Council. Humans had always been watched, studied, and sometimes underestimated by the Council. But this message carried a tone that was rare: caution, concern, and perhaps a trace of fear. Captain Nico gathered his team in the main hall of the colony. The walls hummed with energy from the solar converters, and screens displayed the incoming message. Lieutenant Laura, Taran, and Elin stood beside him, anticipation written on their faces. The message began, formal and stern. "Humans of Terran origin, your recent encounters with alien species have raised concern. Your instincts and strategies demonstrate capabilities beyond expectation. The Galactic Council advises caution. Further aggression or uncalculated expansion may be seen as a threat to galactic balance. The Council requests a meeting." Nico leaned back in his chair, considering the message. "They are warning us," he said slowly. "But humans do not react out of fear. We react out of understanding. We will attend their meeting not to submit, but to demonstrate that humans act with intelligence and foresight." Laura frowned. "It feels strange. Other species usually fear our presence, but the Council, they seem unsettled. Do they not trust us?" Nico shook his head. "It is not fear or distrust. It is awareness. They are beginning to see what humans truly are. They have underestimated our instinct, and now they are cautious." The humans prepared for the journey to the Council. Nico insisted they travel not as supplicants but as representatives of a species confident in its own abilities. The shuttle, Aurora 2, lifted from the colony with quiet hums of engines and sensors scanning the stars. Upon arrival at the Council's space station, a massive structure orbiting a neutral star, the humans were escorted to the Grand Hall. It was a chamber of polished crystal and glowing panels, occupied by delegates of dozens of species. Some were tall and armored, others small and delicate, but all eyes were on the humans as they entered. One delegate, a reptilian being named Sarthan, spoke first. "Humans, you have survived situations that would destroy most civilizations. You have outsmarted predators and alien forces alike. We are concerned about the implications." Nico stepped forward. "We understand your concern. Humans do not act recklessly. We adapt, we survive, and we protect what we create. Our actions are guided by instinct, yes, but also by understanding and intelligence. We do not seek conflict, but we do not fear it." A murmur passed through the hall. Humans' calm confidence was unusual. Most species responded with fear, pride, or aggression. Humans responded with measured speech and steady eyes. Another delegate, a cephalopod-like creature named Thalon, leaned forward. "You have shown tactical genius in situations where we expected panic. Your predator instinct is unlike anything recorded. It is instinct combined with intelligence, calculation, and adaptability. How do you explain this?" Laura stepped forward. "It is not something we explain easily. It is a combination of observation, experience, and instinct. Humans face danger not with fear but with awareness. We learn quickly and act decisively. That is how we survive." The delegates exchanged uncertain glances. Sarthan spoke again, voice low. "Other species have strength, numbers, or advanced technology. Humans have something else. It is not measurable by our usual systems. You adapt, anticipate, and act in ways that are unexpected." "That is dangerous," Nico nodded. "It may be unexpected, but it is not uncontrolled. Humans understand limits, strategy, and consequence. We do not act recklessly. We act effectively." The discussion continued for hours. The humans answered questions, explained their observations on Virilia, and described their encounters with alien predators and hostile forces. They shared data, simulations, and strategies, all demonstrating a careful, instinct-driven intelligence that combined observation with action. Finally, Sarthan leaned back, his long tail curling around his chair. "Humans, the Council has seen your capabilities. We warn you, the galaxy is vast and not all species will be as accommodating as your recent adversaries. Your instincts may keep you alive, but other civilizations may not recognize your intent. Proceed with caution," Nico replied, voice firm. "We appreciate your warning, and humans will take it seriously. But understand this. Humans survive not by retreating, but by adapting, understanding, and responding. That is our instinct, and it is the way we thrive." As the meeting ended, the humans returned to their shuttle. Laura turned to Nico. "It is strange. The Council does not fear us openly, but there is respect, and perhaps a hint of unease." Nico nodded. "Yes, they are beginning to see that humans are not predictable. That is our strength. Where others react with fear or aggression, humans observe, calculate, and act with instinct and intelligence. That is why we survive and why we will continue to thrive." Back on the Aurora 2, the humans continued their exploration. They were not satisfied with warning messages or cautious glances from the Council. Humanity's instinct was to understand, to explore, and to test limits. Laura suggested a detour to survey a sector recently abandoned due to alien conflict. Nico agreed, sensing an opportunity to learn more about the galaxy and themselves. The humans arrived at the derelict sector, a region littered with remnants of ancient battleships and crumbled colonies. Sensors detected strange energy patterns, suggesting a weapon of immense power left behind by a long-extinct species. Humans were the only ones who dared approach. Terran analyzed the data. "This technology is beyond our current understanding. It is complex, but there is a pattern. If we study it carefully, we might learn to operate it." Elin frowned. "We must be careful. Others would see this as a threat, and they may react aggressively if they discover it." Nico nodded. "We will be cautious, but humans are observers and learners. This is knowledge we must gain to survive future challenges." The humans spent days analyzing the ancient technology. They did not rush. Their instinct guided them in subtle ways, revealing functions and mechanisms that others might have overlooked. It was not brute force nor reckless experimentation. It was careful observation, logical testing, and adaptation in real time. Finally, they succeeded in activating a small portion of the weapon, a device capable of generating immense energy for defense or other purposes. The humans marveled, not at the power itself, but at their ability to understand it instinctively. Where others might have feared it, humans approached it with curiosity and intelligence. "This is why the Council is cautious," Laura said. "They do not see humans as predictable. We survive where others might fail. We understand and act with instinct." Nico smiled slightly. "And that is the point. Humans do not just adapt to the galaxy. We observe, learn, and evolve. Our predator instinct is not about destruction. It is about survival, intelligence, and opportunity. That is what makes us different." As they returned to Virelia, humans reflected on their encounters with the Council and the ancient weapon. They realized that the galaxy was full of surprises and dangers. Yet humans did not fear them. Their instinct guided them, combining observation, learning, and action. The Galactic Council would continue to watch and perhaps even worry, but humans were ready. They had proven that instinct was not just a reaction, but a tool, a weapon, and a path to understanding. That night, Nico stood outside the colony looking at the stars. Laura joined him silently. "The galaxy will test us again," she said. "But humans survive because we do not simply react. We think, we adapt, and we act with instinct." Nico nodded. "Exactly. The Council may warn, alien species may attack, and challenges will come, but humans are not ordinary. We survive, we thrive, and we will continue to do so because our instinct is more than reaction. It is foresight, intelligence, and courage." The stars shimmered above, and humans slept lightly, prepared for whatever the galaxy would throw at them next. They had survived predators, hostile aliens, and even the careful observation of the Galactic Council. And they had done so not through fear or aggression alone, but through the awakening of a predator instinct that combined thought, courage, and adaptability. The galaxy had begun to notice. Humans were not just another species to catalog. They were a force of instinct, intelligence, and relentless adaptability. And that realization, though subtle now, would shape the future of humanity in ways no one in the galaxy could yet predict. The calm of space was broken by the sudden arrival of alien fleets at the edge of human-colonized sectors. Multiple species had joined forces, forming a coalition intent on challenging humanity. They believed humans were a minor threat, overconfident and inexperienced. They did not understand the predator instinct that had begun to awaken in humanity. Captain Nico received the first reports aboard the Aurora II. Sensors detect multiple fleets converging. Their numbers are large, but their strategy is disorganized. They expect us to respond with fear or retreat. Lieutenant Laura studied the tactical readouts. They underestimate us. Humans survive not because of fear, strength, or numbers. We survive because we anticipate, adapt, and act faster than they can react. Nico nodded. "Prepare the fleet. But remember, our advantage is not just firepower. It is instinct, strategy, and adaptability. We will not charge blindly. We will strike with precision." The human fleet moved to intercept, but they did not fly in straight lines or predictable formations. Instead, they spread, using asteroid belts, nebulae, and gravitational anomalies to hide movements. Sensors scouted the enemy's positions while humans planned their approach like hunters surrounding prey. The first engagement began when a small enemy squadron attempted to probe the human defenses. Humans allowed the probes to approach, observing their patterns. Elin, the scout, noticed the enemy's hesitation when they were maneuvered into narrow paths between asteroids. "They do not expect us to predict their moves," Elin reported. "We can use this." Nico gave the order. "Trap them. Do not destroy without need. Observe and control. We will teach them that humans act with instinct and intelligence." The humans executed their plan flawlessly. They guided the enemy squadron into a trap of gravitational currents that slowed the alien ships, while teams on either side moved into positions to block escape. The alien pilots panicked, firing blindly, but humans anticipated each move, neutralizing attacks with minimal loss. Meanwhile, the main fleets approached. The coalition believed their numbers would overwhelm the humans. Yet humans did not panic. Nico, Laura, and Terran coordinated across the fleet, each ship moving like part of a single organism. Every maneuver, every counterattack was calculated in real time. The humans were predators not in mindless aggression, but in instinctive strategy and decisive action. When the aliens tried to divide the human fleet, Nico anticipated the move. He instructed small human teams to feign weakness in one sector, drawing part of the enemy into a narrow nebula. Hidden within the clouds, human ships waited. As the enemy entered, humans attacked from all directions, cutting off retreat. The aliens were trapped, confused, and forced into surrender. On the ground, human colonies coordinated simultaneously. Laura had trained local defense units to use terrain and improvised devices to slow enemy forces attempting planetary assault. Civilians were part of the strategy, using communication networks to relay information and assist with traps. Humans turned the battlefield itself into a weapon, using knowledge, observation, and instinct instead of brute force alone. Terran analyzed alien responses. They are strong, but they cannot anticipate humans' adaptive strategies. Every move we make is observed, every counter is prepared. They are reactive. We are proactive. By the second day of conflict, the coalition's morale began to crumble. They had expected humans to flee or fight without coordination, but humans acted like a single entity, thinking ahead, controlling the battlefield, and exploiting every weakness. Nico addressed the fleet. Observe, learn, adapt. The galaxy may challenge us in numbers, in strength, in technology, but humans survive by using instinct, intelligence, and precision. Today we show the galaxy what it means to face a predator that adapts faster than it can react. The coalition's main fleet attempted a concentrated assault, hoping to crush humans quickly. But the humans had already studied their formations and predicted their strategies. Elon guided small strike teams to disrupt communication channels and navigation arrays. Terran coordinated energy fields to block the main attacks. Humans neutralized the initial surge before it could cause damage, turning defense into counterattack with fluid motion. The alien leaders realized their mistake too late. Humans did not just respond, they outthought, outmaneuvered, and controlled every engagement. By the third day, the coalition was in disarray. Ships were stranded, ground forces captured or neutralized, and communication between factions broke down. Humans had turned the attack into complete dominance without relying solely on raw strength. In the aftermath, Nico convened a meeting with Laura, Elon, and Terran. This is a turning point. The galaxy is beginning to see humans as more than just survivors. We are strategic, adaptive, and relentless. Our instinct is not mindless, it is our greatest advantage. Laura nodded. They called us weak. They underestimated our predator instinct. Today they learned that humans are not easily controlled or predicted. Elon added, we did not just win because we fought harder. We won because we understood, observed, and acted faster than they could anticipate. That is what makes humans dangerous, Terran smiled. We are not predators in the usual sense. We do not attack blindly, but we strike with intelligence, precision, and instinct. That is how we thrive. As the dust settled, the coalition retreated, leaving behind a trail of disabled ships and scattered forces. Across the galaxy, news of the human victory spread quickly. Ambassadors and delegates from other civilizations whispered in concern. Some species began to respect humans, others began to fear them. Even the Galactic Council observed quietly, noting the speed, efficiency, and intelligence of human operations. A few delegates whispered among themselves, realizing that humans were no longer a minor species to watch. They were a dominant force capable of reshaping galactic balance. Meanwhile, humans continued their work with calm focus. Nico addressed the fleet one last time before returning to their home colonies. The galaxy may challenge us again. There will be stronger fleets, greater threats, and more difficult choices. But humans will survive because we combine observation, instinct, and intelligence. We will always adapt. That is the strength of humanity. On the planet's surface, colonies were repaired, defenses strengthened, and systems upgraded. Civilians worked alongside soldiers, scientists, and engineers. Humans did not rely on fear or anger. They relied on skill, adaptability, and instinctive understanding of both enemy and environment. As night fell over Viralia, Nico and Laura walked quietly along the river that had once marked the edge of the colony. The twin suns had set, leaving a soft glow in the sky. The galaxy is beginning to notice, Laura said softly. Not just the council, but the species we faced. They see that humans are not ordinary. We survive where others would fail. Nico nodded. Yes, today was more than a battle. It was a demonstration of instinct and intelligence. The galaxy may try to challenge us again, but humans do not simply survive. We adapt, we observe, and we act decisively. That is our predator instinct. Elon joined them silently, pointing to the stars. Other civilizations will plan, they will strategize, but they cannot predict humans. That is why we will continue to thrive. That is why the Council watches us closely. Terran added, and it is why humans are not just another species. We are observers, learners, and hunters in our own right. We do not seek war, but we do not fear it. We are prepared for any challenge. The humans returned to the colony, their minds focused on recovery, improvement, and preparation. They knew the galaxy would continue to test them. But they also knew that their predator instinct, subtle, intelligent, and adaptive, gave them an edge no other species could match. Across the stars, whispers of humans spread. They survive everything. They think, they adapt, and they outmaneuver. Facing them is unpredictable. Facing them is dangerous. Yet humans did not seek such reputation. They acted with calm precision, with instinct guiding every move and intelligence ensuring that each decision was deliberate. They were not invaders, nor conquerors by nature, but when challenged, they became unstoppable. And the galaxy began to understand a new truth. Humans were predators in a way no species had encountered before. Not through raw strength, not through overwhelming technology, but through instinct, intelligence, and unshakable adaptability. Nico stood once more at the edge of the colony, watching the stars shimmer above. He spoke quietly, almost to himself. This is only the beginning. The galaxy will continue to challenge humanity, but we will survive, we will adapt, and we will thrive. Our predator instinct is not just awakening, it is rising. And with that, humanity prepared for the future, ready to face any threat, adapt to any situation, and show the galaxy that instinct combined with intelligence was a force no species could ignore. The galaxy had changed. Humans were no longer observers on the outskirts of civilization. They had proven themselves against predators, hostile species, and even the combined forces of multiple alien factions. Across star systems, whispers of humanity's instincts, intelligence, and adaptability traveled faster than light. Captain Nico stood on the bridge of the Aurora II, looking at the stars ahead. Lieutenant Laura and the senior team gathered around the tactical displays. Reports indicate several species are reconsidering their positions, Laura said. Some are seeking alliances. Others are retreating quietly. The galaxy is learning to respect humans, Nico nodded. It is not just respect. They have realized humans are unpredictable. That is our strength. We do not act recklessly, but we act decisively. We survive, we adapt, and we thrive. That is instinct. And that is humanity. The Galactic Council had sent a formal invitation to a convocation, requesting humans' presence as representatives of their species. This time it was not a warning, but an acknowledgement. Humans would sit among other civilizations not as observers, but as equals, recognized for their capabilities and instincts. As the shuttle approached the Council's crystal space station, humans prepared for the meeting. Nico addressed the team. We go not to boast, not to intimidate, but to demonstrate that humanity has risen through observation, instinct, and intelligence. Our way is not one of conquest, but of survival and understanding. Inside the Grand Hall, delegates from dozens of species greeted them. Some bowed, others remained still, but every eye was on humanity. The previous meetings had left a subtle tension in the air, now replaced by cautious respect. Sarthan, the reptilian delegate, spoke first. Humans, your actions in recent conflicts have demonstrated exceptional abilities. Your instinct, combined with intelligence and adaptability, is unprecedented. The Council formally acknowledges humanity as a significant force in galactic affairs. Nico bowed slightly. We are honored by your recognition. Humans survive not by seeking dominance, but by understanding, adapting, and responding. That is our instinct. It is not aggression. It is awareness and action. Thalen, the cephalopod-like delegate, added, Your species has turned potential threats into opportunities. You have survived where others might have perished. You have demonstrated that instinct, when combined with observation and intelligence, is more powerful than brute force or numbers alone. Laura stepped forward. We do not seek war. We seek knowledge, growth, and understanding. But when challenged, humans act decisively. We adapt, we learn, and we overcome. That is how we survive, and that is how we thrive. The council listened, impressed and cautious. Humans were no longer the species to underestimate. Their rise was subtle yet undeniable. Across systems, other civilizations began to approach humans with new strategies, alliances, trade, and communication, aware that their instincts and intelligence could not be ignored. After the meeting, Nico and Laura returned to the Aurora too. The council's acknowledgement is important, Nico said, but it is only the beginning. Humans have demonstrated our instinct. Now we must continue to observe, learn, and grow. The galaxy will always challenge us, and we will always adapt. Terran looked at the data from recent conflicts. Every species we encounter is learning too. But they cannot predict humans. That unpredictability is what gives us an edge. Instinct is not just reaction. It is foresight in action. Elin added quietly. We do not just survive. We change the environment around us. We influence outcomes. That is the true predator instinct. Weeks later, humans returned to their colonies, continuing exploration, settlement, and research. They encountered alien species who had once been hostile and turned potential conflict into cooperation. Humans had learned not only how to fight, but how to negotiate, how to understand, and how to thrive without unnecessary conflict. On Virelia, the first colony flourished. Observation posts monitored nearby systems, while research stations studied uncharted planets. Humans continued to expand cautiously, always aware of threats but never paralyzed by them. Instinct guided every decision, intelligence refined every strategy, and courage ensured action. One evening, as the twin suns set over the golden forests, Nico, Laura, and Elin walked along the riverbank. The galaxy sees us now, Laura said. We are no longer small, insignificant observers. We are recognized. Our instinct has changed perception. Nico looked at the stars. Yes, but recognition alone is not enough. Humans must continue to act with intelligence, adaptiveness, and courage. The galaxy will always challenge us, but we have proven that instinct, combined with thought, can overcome even the greatest obstacles. Elin pointed to a distant planet. There are civilizations out there that we do not know yet. Challenges we cannot predict, but humans will be ready. That is what makes us humans, Terran smiled. We have survived predators, hostile fleets, and even skeptical councils. We have adapted, learned, and acted decisively. Our instinct is not just survival. It is evolution in action. Across the galaxy, humans became known not for domination, but for capability. Allies respected them, competitors feared them, and the council observed with cautious admiration. Humans had shown that instinct was more than reaction. It was strategy, intelligence, and foresight. Back at the colonies, children played in safe areas while adults worked on improving defenses and researching technology. Humans continued to grow not recklessly but intelligently. Every action was guided by instinct, every decision by observation and analysis. The predator instinct was no longer hidden. It was recognized, tested, and respected. In a quiet moment, Nico addressed the leaders of human colonies across systems via secure communication. Humans have proven that we survive and thrive not because of strength alone, but because of instinct, intelligence, and courage. Continue to observe, continue to adapt, and continue to act decisively. The galaxy will always challenge us, but humanity's true power lies in our ability to understand and respond. That is our greatest strength, Laura added. We have learned that the galaxy respects those who act with awareness and skill. But more importantly, humans respect their own abilities. Our instinct guides us, our intelligence directs us, and our courage allows us to act. Together, that is the force that shapes our future. As night fell across the colonies, humans looked up at the stars with calm confidence. Their predator instinct, once subtle and hidden, had awakened fully. It was no longer just about survival. It was about understanding the galaxy, shaping outcomes, and thriving in a universe full of uncertainty. In the council chambers, delegates whispered among themselves. Humans are unlike any species we have recorded. They survive, adapt, and act with instinct beyond our comprehension. They are not a threat in the usual sense, but they are a force we cannot ignore. And humanity continued to rise, not through fear, not through aggression, but through instinct guided by intelligence, courage, and careful action. The galaxy had learned a new truth. Humans were not ordinary. They were observers, learners, and predators in their own right. Captain Nico stood once more at the observation deck of Aurora 2. watching stars stretch across the endless darkness. "This is only the beginning," he said softly. "Humans have survived, adapted, and thrived. The galaxy may test us again, but we will continue to rise. Our predator instinct is not just awakened, it is unstoppable." The humans of the colonies, the fleets, and the research stations felt a quiet confidence. They were ready for whatever the galaxy would throw at them next. Their instinct guided them, their intelligence sharpened them, and their courage defined them. Across the stars, the message spread. Humans were no longer a species to underestimate. They were a presence that commanded respect, a predator that adapted, and a civilization that would shape the galaxy in ways no one could yet predict. And as the galaxy watched, humanity moved forward, calm, precise, and unstoppable. Their true predator instinct had awakened, and even the Galactic Council knew that the universe would never be the same.